We're going to go live now to South Carolina for the Republican primary debate for governor. 4 candidates vying for the seat currently held by Governor Mark Sanford, who is term limited. Congressman Gresham Barrett, State Lieutenant Governor Bauer, State Representative Nikki Haley, and State Attorney General Henry McMaster. This hour-long debate is hosted by WBTW News anchor Bob Chubak.
In Florence and Coastal Carolina University in Conway, South Carolina. Tonight we're joined by 4 Republican gubernatorial hopefuls. They hope to be South Carolina's next governor. The primary is next Tuesday, 1 week from tonight. Our candidates include Lieutenant Governor Bauer, 3rd District Congressman Gresham Barrett, State Attorney General Henry McMaster, and State Representative Nikki Haley from Lexington. Please give the candidates a warm Florence, South Carolina welcome. Tonight's debate also features a panel of esteemed journalists in our part of the state. They include Harry Logan. He works in the Office of Public and Community Affairs here at Francis Marion. Following his retirement last year as the editor of the Florence Morning News, Harry is also the immediate past president of the South Carolina Press Association. Joining Harry on the panel tonight is his former colleague, Jackie Torek. She is the current Metro editor of the Morning News. And then the 3rd member of our panel is my colleague and WBTW News 13 anchor and reporter, Rusty Ray. Please welcome our panel as well. This debate that's coming up 1 week before the big primary will focus on job creation and building long-term economic growth across all of South Carolina. Part 1 involves questions from our media panel. Each candidate will have the chance to answer 3 questions at least posed by each panelist. The candidates have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer the question when it's their time to go first. The other 3 candidates then have 30 seconds for rebuttal. We had a series of coin tosses earlier tonight to determine the order in which the candidates will answer the panel's Voice of the Voter questions, and Lieutenant Governor Bauer will answer the first question. Harry Logan will ask it. Harry?
Thank you. Mr. Bauer, a recent poll by the Morning News and Francis Marion University among registered voters in the PD found that jobs and the economy were their top priorities with little or no concern about welfare. Is your attention on the welfare question only a hot-button issue to appeal to voters in the GOP primary?
Absolutely not. The people of South Carolina know that next year we're going to have a record drop in the amount of revenue that we have in this state. And so not only do we have to create new opportunities, but we're going to have to make up shortfalls. We're going to have to make tough decisions. And so I don't have any political advisors. I decide what I think is important to people of South Carolina by being out on the street like I was this morning at 7 a.m. where people can pull over and ask me anything. And we're going to have to make some tough cuts next year. And so we've got to look at every program out there and decide what is effective and what's not effective. And so we know there are programs right now. The fastest growing segment in the budget right now is the welfare rolls. It's bigger than what we spend on whether you look at military spending. The fastest growing segment is welfare right now. Nobody wants to talk about it. We have no way to pay for it anymore. So I think we've got to address that. But more than that, we've also got to talk about ways to bring business to South Carolina. And out of everybody sitting on this panel, I'm the only one that's still running a business. None of these other folks are running a business. I deal with it every day. I see how difficult it is to pay the taxes that are continually placed on me, to see the way to get business permits now. More and more government bureaucrats make it more difficult to try to do things that make it easier to run my business. And so every time I turn around, the things that made me successful as a young man and even as an older person in business are now being taken away, and it's becoming more and more difficult for private business owners to make a living in this state.
Mr. Barrett, you got 30 seconds.
Well, I do agree that I think the number one issue is jobs. I say on the stump all the time, there's 3 important issues. It's jobs, jobs, jobs. We've got a plan. It's called Putting South Carolina Back to Work. It's an 8-step common sense, business principle plan of how we turn this economy around through the private sector, not the government sector, how we empower people, not government. It includes comprehensive tax reform. It has a portion in there about infrastructure. It talks about education and restructure. And I hope we get a chance to really delve into those so I can share those thoughts with you.
Mr. McMaster?
Oh yes, jobs is number one. There's no doubt about it. And ladies and gentlemen, we're at a crossroads where if we don't make the right choices now, we're going to be sunk. We've been sort of drifting now for 12 years because we don't have a plan. I have a strategic plan that'll work. Besides that, I know how to get things done. State newspaper said I wasn't in politics. I'm not a politician. I'm a prosecutor, but a prosecutor has broad authority in this state. And I've been leading this state with a record of accomplishment, getting things done for the people. I want to lead us to that path to prosperity, and I have the executive experience, maturity, judgment, and credibility to get it done.
Ms. Haley?
You know, it's important for us to look at, yes, we do have a job problem, but we also have the fact that we don't have the skilled workforce for our South Carolina businesses now. We've got a lot of jobs in South Carolina, and they're having to go out of state and out of country to get that. The first thing that we have to do is acknowledge, and I can tell you as an accountant, we have one of the most band-aided tax structures in the country. We need to make sure that the first thing we do is eliminate the corporate income tax, because when you give businesses cash flow, when you give them profit margins, the first thing they do is hire people. We need a strong commerce director that understands it's about the quality of companies that come in and not quantity. And then we need to make sure that we have to strengthen our technical schools in the state so that we can give the skilled workers to the companies who need them.
All right, our next question will be asked to Congressman Barrett and Jackie Torek with the Morning News.
Congressman Barrett, you've expressed a desire to create economic conditions in South Carolina where the next job is across the street and not across the nation. What specific plans do you have to establish and enhance the infrastructure needed, such as broadband internet access, to lure business and industry to the poorest parts of the state?
Yeah, Jackie, that's a great question, and thank you. I was hoping somebody was going to ask that. As I said in my opening statement, we've got a plan. It's called Putting South Carolina Back to Work. It's an 8-step, common sense, business principle plan of how we turn this economy around through the private sector, not the government sector. The first is comprehensive tax reform. We need a system that's fair, that's flatter, that puts all the options on the table. We've looked at property tax and sales tax and grocery tax and now cigarette tax. And look at the system that we've got. We need a system where every option is on the table. We have a system that's fair, that's flatter, that encourages businesses and industry to come to South Carolina and helps existing businesses. Infrastructure, roads, bridges, water, sewer. Not only where we're going to put them, ladies and gentlemen, but how we're going to pay for it. And that includes our ports. 1 out of every 10 jobs is directly related to the port. It's a $40 billion multiplier. Being ready when the post-Panamax ships come in, extremely important, and having a governor that's going to roll up his sleeves and be ready. Education. My wife's a first grade school teacher, and I don't think there's any one silver bullet, but no child, listen to me, no child should leave the 3rd grade that's not at or above 3rd grade reading level. To do that, we've got to get dollars to the classroom. For every dollar you spend in education, only 44 cents makes it to the classroom. National average is 65 cents. We've got to make sure those dollars make it to the educational classroom. And the last thing is restructuring. I'd love to see the hand of the governor strengthened, where the lieutenant governor and the governor work on the same ticket, where we have a governor that not only has the responsibility but the authority to make a difference. Bringing South Carolina into the 21st century, not the 18th century. That's how we change jobs.
Mr. McMaster, 30 seconds.
Well, I think we need a leader who knows how to get things done. I've never served in legislative office. This office is Attorney General for now 8 years, is the only office I've held in state government. I think that I know how to get things done. And one thing, you have to use the assets you have, and you have to use the full team. We haven't been doing that for 12 years. When we go recruiting industry around the world, are we encouraging industries here to grow? We need to have the port, agriculture, tourism, the technical colleges, and the tax system. We need to overhaul our tax system, make them fairer, flatter, and lower, but we need to put all that to the table every time and market it globally.
Ms. Haley?
You know, your question was about economic conditions, especially in light of the rural areas. What we need to understand is, first of all, we have to have a tax structure that works. That also includes workers' comp reform and tort reform. But we've got